Now going over to the political part podcast, you have Biden claiming black men are being hunted during a commencement speech, which, yeah, it's been a couple years since my commencement speech. It was a pretty bad speech. It wasn't very memorable, but at least, at least it wasn't talking about people getting murdered and hunted. I mean, that's not a very motivational commencement speech. I mean, anyone with modicum of intelligence would probably say, "Oh, if I was speaking at one of those instances, I would say, you're in a lot of debt. You better start working like hell to pay that off because it's the one debt that cannot be written through bankruptcy process." But nevertheless, this comes from End Wokeness. And Ed Wokeness says, Biden tells black students they're being hunted in the streets. That's not just divisive, it's total BS. 2023 interracial homicides. 86 blacks were killed by whites. 488 whites were killed by blacks, unquote. Although, unfortunately, again, it's annoying as hell. He didn't give me the link to the actual statistics. I don't know if this is because of it. I don't know if it's most likely from the FBI database, criminal statistics, but again, anytime, it only takes a couple seconds to throw in the URL. Because again, I don't know if that's necessarily true. So yeah, as far as some people take a grain of salt when it comes to statistics, especially polls. Now, polls you can always manipulate. I'll talk about that another time. If you tuned in the show before, you know, one of the few things I learned from college is that was a modicum of value. Was the professor in business statistics told me, you know, always ask, what is your sample size? Because again, that could determine a lot, not just geographically, but age, gender, religion. There are a lot of variables. But I partially digress. And interesting enough, even though what he's saying is mentally vacuous, the way he is speaking is actually one of the most articulate speeches I've heard from Biden in the past 6-7 months. I mean, he doesn't stutter hardly at all. In terms of just being able to speak, I don't know if he's maybe took a 5-hour energy drink or copious amounts of, I don't know, some magical drug, but I think he actually sounds moderately coherent. Pretty rare. And of course, he has the funny little suit with the cape that they have in colleges. But I partially digress. I'll go ahead and I usually say they sound infinitely better than me, but let me know whose voice is more soothing and therapeutic and awesome in the comments.
It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street, what is democracy? The trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy? You have to be 10 times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country, even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure?
Who's clapping that? First of all, it's blatantly not true. If you look at United States, or look at the globe, in terms of income and who makes the most, like, where do you make the most money statistically based on race? The United States is the best country. I mean, the highest earning income group in the United States, I believe, is Indians, followed by Asian Americans. Then you have white, then you have African Americans. You look at the globe, African Americans make more in the United States than any other country. The United States has the best opportunity for people, bar none, even with all the bureaucratic BS, even with the APA killing jobs, even with the government cracking down and trying to make it impossible to make a profit owning a business. Even with all that. Reminds me of a good old quote by Ted Nugent who said, the whole world sucks, but the US just sucks the least. And I can't imagine, again, statistically speaking, what he's saying is not true. And again, it's the best places for opportunity. Because again, businesses care about one thing. Who's going to deliver the most profit for the business? Doesn't matter what age, doesn't matter what, well, I guess in the United States, you have to be 18 to work most jobs. But again, they don't care about your creed, they don't care about your race, they care about what employee is going to be the most profitable. What's their resume look like? It's especially easy to qualify in sales roles where you see what was their quota attainment the past couple of years, how much they sell products, services, what have you. But let's go to the comments. Maybe I'm alone in this assessment. Maybe this will be, maybe this is a good move on the political chessboard because there are a lot of people who agree with his vernacular that he's saying here, even though it's not true. But again, statistically speaking, this is also a very popular way to churn up votes and, make, rice a divisive issue. And got 1.2 million views. I mean, a lot of people tuned in. And, see here, 32,000 people liked it. What are the couple of top comments? Oh, here we go. Egg Wokeness gets an A+. They say, data is all here. Let me check them out. National Conservative. Looks like, pull up the actual data. All right, so this comes from, unfortunately, I do not know the website. I haven't seen the website before, but it's at nationalconservative.com. And it tells you the rates of, it gives you all the specific instances, and gives you a pie chart and breakdown. So this is where the statistics he earlier brought up when he says 86 African Americans were killed by whites, 488 whites were killed by African Americans. So that, I spoke too soon. He actually did provide the statistics link. Got 757 likes for that. Now, Paul Zupa saying everything Joe says is a lie. When he lies that, then everything he says makes sense. Biden is the one perpetuating division in the United States. He thinks by doing so it'll be easier to control us. Let him not decide us. Unquote. Grammar, of course, it should be let him not divide us, getting 420 likes, which, yeah, I can't help but, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, just hang out with people. Most folks, regardless of race, we have a lot of the same things in common. And I think a lot of politicians, left and right, try to use particular issues to divide us. I mean, you talk to most people on the streets, most people, what are they worried about these days? Worried about inflation. Worried about gas costing $7 a gallon in California. Worried about not being able to make rent next month. Worried about where their country is going. Worried about the riots. I think more people have more in common than we tend to think. But nevertheless, you have Sam saying love it, which this has to be her only job in life. Because she's the one where her whole like shtick on Twitter is she takes pictures like cheese boards or some crap like that. And all she does is give Biden accolades, saying love it, and then she'll tweet this little, I don't know if it's an affiliate link, maybe she gets money from it, but it's the Tide parody shirt where it says vote instead of the Tide logo. It has a Tide background, it says remove stubborn orange stains. And 0 people like that. Yeah, not even a single like. G. Van Fleet says, for decades, the Democratic Party has been sowing the seeds of resentment, hatred, and division in the black community. For one thing, their votes. In 1.6 thousand likes. And fascinatingly enough, Biden talks about broken promises. Look at Chicago. Democrats have been catering to that community for decades, almost 100 years, saying we're going to fix things. What has been fixed in Chicago in the past 100 years? Has anything gotten better? Are businesses moving there? Are people moving there happily? Quite the antithesis is true. Most businesses are leaving in droves, and people who can move are getting out. Scrolling down more, Paul Hoopman says your government and media won't tell you the truth, and talks about interracial crime incidents in 2018. It says white on black was 59,788, black on white was 547,948. I got 206 likes. It also says blow your mind, and it says murders of black and white people in the U.S. per 100 murder of race. It says whites killed by black was 11.3%, blacks killed by whites was 0.05 or 0.5%. My eyesight isn't the best. This is black and whites 10.8%, and blacks by blacks is 90. Jeez Louise. 70.4%. Again, the screens are a little far. That got 317 likes. Let's see here. Democrat Media CM says must be another election. Democrats are visiting black communities, getting 302 likes, which, yeah, pandering just seems to be, a lot of people do that more and more. I'm trying to see if there's any contrarian statements. Because again, this will resonate with millions of Americans. People will vote for Biden because of that speech. Believe it or not. I mean, a lot of people agree with what he's saying. You know, statistically speaking, again, people make more in the United States than pretty much any other country. Yeah. Let me know in the comments. Do you think this type of political rhetoric still works? Is it still good a political move on the chessboard? Or do you think, culturally speaking, there's going to be a shift where more and more Americans are starting to think, I don't care about each other's race, just treat everyone equally, and everyone has equal opportunity. We're not buying what you're selling, Mr. President. Let me know in the comments. Perhaps I'm just a foolish optimist, hoping we'll all, realize that we're more united than not. Let me know in the comments. As always, I'd be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you could click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, leave a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.